Alright, how's it going everyone? Back here again with a new slash build. This is the 4x4 C10 build that I did for racing on clay. This thing is pretty good for what it is, and it looks sick. So we'll dive right into it today and we'll see what's so special about it and what I've done to it. Alright, starting off, obviously we have the C10 license body for the slash 4x4 with these extended Proline body mounts, and we have some J Concepts smoothies on Proline wheels. So these things look pretty sweet. They perform super well. It's a good setup for clay. As you can see, it's just a little bit raked out. You'll see in just a minute why. This thing is a slash 4x4 VXL, and it started life as that, and then I swapped some things to make it a lot better and perform a lot better. And this thing is stupid fast. It is nuts, and you're about to see why in just a minute. We have obviously the standard slash front bumper. In the rear here though, you'll be able to see we have our RPM bumper and we have our mud flaps down there, and they look pretty sweet. Helps add to the vibe of it. So we're gonna jump into what's so special under the hood right now. Alright, as you can see, we got our body off, it's back there. We have our little Proline body clips right here. They're not really clips, they're more like screw-on caps, but they look pretty dang sweet. And they're super clean. They do fall off sometimes, but it happens. No matter how well you put them on, they're gonna fall off. But they do sell them in little packs. That is way easier than having body pins that are gonna fall off anyways. So now we're gonna jump into what's so special about this build. And first of all, what you'll notice is that's not the stock Valeon motor or ESC. This is actually a Hobbywing setup that you can see in here. It is the Hobbywing Easy Run. Believe this is the, I can't remember if it's 35 or 4000 kV, but it is nuts. This thing is super fast. You could run it in mod class, no problem. It's dumb. It's got a 13 tooth pinion in it, and we're running a normal Traxxas lipo here. It's just a normal Traxxas ID lipo, 2-cell. 3-cell is way too much. It will literally pull the tires off of the glue that they're mounted with. So we keep it a little bit mild with that 2S pack. Now this is a tunable ESC, which is pretty awesome. It's a censored setup and it runs super well. You'll notice it has a fan on it. Only turns on when the vehicle gets hot. So this will only turn on if this ESC gets loaded up, and it never does. Especially with the 2S pack, it's just not going to. This motor does get a little warm, but it doesn't get hot at all. So it's a super solid setup. The gearing is set up perfectly. And let's dive into some other things that I've done right now. So a big thing you'll notice is the stance that this thing has. It sits a lot lower than a standard slash VXL does, and that's mainly because of the low CG chassis. I mean, it sits stupid low, so low, and it just handles amazing with this. It is one of the biggest improvements you can do on these trucks, hands down. As well, swapping out the front springs. Throw some associated front springs on there. It'll stiffen the ride up a lot more, and it sits with a mean little stance. It's incredible. If you pick it up, you'll see these sit almost horizontal. These will sit pretty much horizontal when you pick it up. Those arms are really flat. When you drop it down, it sits really well. These springs, and swapping out the shock oil in the front as well with some 45 rate in the rear as well. We kept those progressive rate springs even though they kind of suck. It's what we're going with. This isn't anything competition level, but it's still enough to have some fun with in some club races. Another thing we did, these extended body mounts. We've gone over them before, but again, these are the Proline extended body mounts for slash 4x4. Super good. Like, honestly, these are rigid. Like, I thought these were going to be a problem, but they're super rigid on the posts, and these are super resilient mounts that replace the clip system that it had before. but the body just clips in, stays there. Don't really like that. It breaks around the clips all the time. So, kind of iffy on whether that system is a good implementation or not. If we're talking about just bashing ease of access, yeah, that's an amazing system, but these screw-on body mounts, so much better. Hands down. Just incredible improvement over whatever those clips were, especially on trucks that you're going to race, because you don't want your body breaking off, flying around everywhere. This thing just, it looks good, it handles well. Super recommend the Hobby Wing setup. We are running the stock Traxxas servo. I believe this is a Metal Gear servo. There is no servo saver on it. It's just not too torquey, but also this thing will just eat up corners. I mean, it's four-wheel drive. It handles really well. It keeps itself planted and composed super well compared to some other things that we've seen. The previous BL2S build that I did with the other Slash does not have the low CG, and the difference is crazy because of how well it just handles. And another thing is, even with the C10 body, this thing flies well. It doesn't parachute anymore. I'm not sure what goes on with those Slash bodies, but they do parachute really bad for some reason. I'm guessing it's just the total surface area you have in here that just allows the air to build up under it, coming through the wheel wells and stuff. And it just makes it kind of fall down like it's parachuting down instead of flying nice like this one does. Even though it's boxy, it's a Chevy body, still good. Alright, so a few final notes before we finish out the video. If you are going to run a body like this, and they do look sick, you're going to have to be okay with cutting out a few of the details of the body if you want it to be able to drive well and not have a bunch of rubbing issues. So obviously these front fender wells have been cut, spaced out, that way the suspension can travel down without interfering, and at full lock it's still going to be able to compress without too much rubbage. And it sits really nice. In the rear is fine because the wheels are actually tucked down back into those fender wells really nice on both sides, which is really interesting. I guess it sits really straight with the body mounts, and it just works really well. So I highly recommend picking up a Slash if you want to do something fun with it and do a fun little build. Nothing crazy, nothing wild. This is just a nice, simple little build. Looks cool, looks rusty, looks like an old truck. Keep it real, guys. Have a good one.